Welcome back, fellow gamers. I want to talk to you today about how Wizards of the Coast can solve one of their big issues with people continuously asking to return to a plane they have no intention of returning to. Now, this discussion is pretty much brought on by Mark Rosewater's earlier comments this week on his blogatog, where somebody was asking him about Kamigawa. He gets asked a lot of questions about why we aren't going back to Kamigawa, if we're going back to Kamigawa, or Kamigawa. I guarantee you I pronounced that wrong to somebody. Anyways, so Mark brings up a really good point. How do you professionally propose an idea that the people who are in charge of you will likely dismiss because they're making decisions based on data that they've collected that says, nope, this didn't do well, we're not going to repeat it. And that's the serious case. I was actually going to ingest, I was in the middle of creating a longer faux documentary where it was a conspiracy documentary where I had outlined how Mark Rosewater actually hates Kamigawa and he's plotting against ever returning there. And I actually pulled out like legit references that would have played into that. It was tongue in cheek, but when Mark positions it like that, it makes complete sense. You know, I'm not going to go to my boss with a terrible idea that will essentially fly in the face of convention and data that we've collected. And that's what's happening here. So how do we get by that? Well, I'm happy you asked. I'm happy you clicked on the video and you wonder why. What happens here is we have an opportunity with a Planeswalker where the story doesn't have to be centralized on just one plane. So take an example of a storyline is that one of the members of the Gatewatch is being hunted. So they have to go and traverse and get away from their pursuant. Oddly enough, the pursuant is a Planeswalker. Now, if only we had a Planeswalker that would hunt other Planeswalkers, that the Planeswalker would want to get the heck out and keep trying to jump planes to lose this person. And in this set, because we're tied into the Planeswalker and the struggle they're having with this other Planeswalker, it's not now a focus on these new worlds or expanding on existing worlds. It's really the Planeswalker's adventure through the multiverse trying to get away. So, as an example, let's just say Nissa is being chased by Garruk. Well, what happens here is that she jumps from plane to plane. She's trying to escape her pursuant, and in doing so is able to encounter other denizens of other planes and learn and, just do a bunch of different things in these planes before she has to take off again. Now, this can be easily told through the weekly stories, but then reinforced with the cards that are being presented. So, if you want a reprint of a certain legendary creature, well, there you go. You don't have to wait for a Commander product or a Masters product or any other types of reprint products to hopefully get that card. You now are able to flush it back into Standard if it's good for Standard, and then proliferate it down through a lot of other formats if the card is powerful enough. But it also satisfies people that are asking about Kamigawa. We don't need to design a whole set around Kamigawa. We don't need to invest months or a whole set or a whole block based on just Kamigawa if we think that Kamigawa will fail. If we have a few cards, a few stories also that reference Kamigawa in Nissa's journey or maybe Garruk's actual path. I said Garruk. Again, if you don't know any of my videos, I call him Garruk. I love Garruk. I love that name. Anyways, back onto it. So having them both traverse the multiverse, they're able to pick up on underlying stories, similar to how Magic Origins, where it really centered around the stories of the Planeswalkers. But again, those Planeswalkers were tied predominantly to two planes. Their home plane and the plane that they first planeswalked to. This also gets around the fact that there's no core sets anymore. Core set was a great area to just throw in a bunch of cards that really didn't have to have a cohesive story. Before Magic Origins, that is. Now we can use this not as a core set replacement, because I don't think Wizards of the Coast has an intention of going back to a core set structure, but having this infrequently, this type of story infrequently, satisfies those people that really get that taste of Kamigawa. Not only that, it offers another avenue for Wizards of the Coast to look at how did players react to Kamigawa this time. Certainly the player base has changed dramatically in the 13 to 14 years that the set has been released. So perhaps opinions have changed. There's a new format called Commander that is really prevalent today that wasn't prevalent back in Kamigawa when it was released. So we have to look at things like that through different lenses. And I totally understand Mark Rosewater's position. I wouldn't do it if I was him. I wouldn't propose that situation, put myself at risk if they say yes and it flops again, and then we're like, well, Mark, you had the data, why did you do it? That's the kind of answers that you need to face up when you make these types of bold decisions. And yeah, they take risks. Wizards of the Coast takes risks, but they take risks a lot in the unknown, not so much in the known. If they know something is going to be bad, or they have data that shows it, why would they even risk doing it when things are going well for the set? It just creates a sour taste if it fails. If people end up hating Kamigawa, they in theory wanted to go to Kamigawa, but now that they're here in Kamigawa, they're like, we don't like it after all. And then you have a bunch of people saying, why did we return to Kamigawa? It creates that situation, right? So that's my opinion on how to get around the whole let's not revisit a set because players don't like it, but there's a vocal either majority or minority that wants to return to said plane even though we have the data that shows otherwise. It really provides a great avenue for market research, provides opportunities for reprints, it provides opportunities to getting cards like maybe ninjutsu back into circulation without calling it ninjutsu like X or Y, because I know Mark had said that he wants the mechanic to reappear but under a different name. I don't. I want ninjas and I want ninjutsus. I want to make a really good ninjutsu/ninja commander deck. Mark, give it to me. Give me the ninjas. I would like to know your opinion, guys. Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, check out one of my other videos right over here. And if you'd like to subscribe, you can do that right here. It lets you know when we upload new content. But not only that, it helps the channel out, and I appreciate it. Thanks for making me a part of your day. And until next time, good gaming.